from Wintersmith by Terry Pratchett. Deep in the snow, in the middle of a wind-swept moorland, a small band of traveling librarians sat around their cooling stove and wondered what to burn next. Tiffany had never been able to find out much about the librarians. They were a bit like the wandering priests and teachers who went even into the smallest, loneliest villages to deliver those things, prayers, medicine, facts, that people could do without for weeks at a time, but sometimes needed a lot of all at once. The librarians would loan you a book for a penny, although they often would take food or good second-hand clothes. If you gave them a book, you got 10 free loans. Sometimes you'd see 2 or 3 of their wagons parked in some clearing and could smell the glues they boiled up to repair the oldest books. Some of the books they loaned were so old that the printing had been worn gray by the pressure of people's eyeballs reading it. The librarians were mysterious. It was said they could tell what book you needed just by looking at you, and they could take your voice away with a word. But here, they were searching the shelves for T.H. Mouseholder's famous book, Survival in the Snow. Things were getting desperate. The oxen that pulled the wagon had broken their tethers and run off in the blizzard. The stove was nearly out, and, worst of all, they were down to their last candle, which meant that soon they would not be able to read books. It says here in K. Pierpont Poundsworth's Among the Snow Weasels that the members of the ill-fated expedition to Whale Bay survived by making soup of their own toes, said Deputy Librarian Grizzler. That's interesting, said Senior Librarian Swinsley, who was rummaging on the shelf below. Is there a recipe? No, but there may be something in Superflua Raven's book, Cooking in Dire Straits. That's where we got yesterday's recipe for Nourishing Boiled Socks Surprise. There was a thunderous knocking at the door. It was a 2-part door, which allowed only the top half to be opened, so that a ledge on the bottom half could be a sort of a small desk for stamping books. Snow came through the crack as the knocking continued. I hope that's not the wolves again, said Mr. Grizzler. I got no sleep at all last night. Do they knock? We could check in The Habits of Wolves by Captain W.E. Lightly, said Senior Librarian Swinsley. Or perhaps you could just open the door? Quickly, the candles are going out. Grizzler opened the top half of the door. There was a tall figure on the steps, hard to see in the fitful and cloud-strained moonlight. I'm looking for romance, it mumbled. The deputy librarian thought for a moment, and then said, Isn't it a bit chilly out there? Aren't you the people with all them books? The figure demanded. Oh, yes, indeed. Oh, romance! Yes, certainly, said Mr. Swinsley, looking relieved. In that case, I think you'll want Miss Jenkins. Forward, please, Miss Jenkins. It looks like you's freezing in here, said the figure. Dem's icicles hanging from the ceiling. Yes. However, we have managed to keep them off the books, said Mr. Swinsley. Ah, Miss Jenkins, this, gentleman is looking for romance. Your department, I think? Yes, sir, said Miss Jenkins, stepping out from the shelves. What kind of romance were you looking for? Oh, one with a cover on, you can, and with pages with all the wordies on them, said the figure. Miss Jenkins, who was used to this sort of thing, disappeared into the gloom at the other end of the wagon.